Hey horror shorties! We want to give a big thank you to Honeygain for sponsoring this video. Honeygain is an app that makes you money while you go about your day-to-day routine. At work? Honeygain just made you some money. Busy binging scary movies? Once again, Honeygain has made you some money. Sign up now and get your first $5 with our code HORROR. This app runs in the background by sharing your internet connection. It's kinda like Uber or Airbnb. Businesses use your network to collect public web data, all while keeping your personal data secure. And no, Honeygain does not affect your browsing experience. Now hear me out, Honeygain won't be able to cover huge living costs, however, over a few million users pay for their Netflix or Spotify subscriptions by simply running the app. So go ahead and claim your first $5 now by downloading Honeygain and using our promo code HORROR. By inviting friends to the app, you can also earn 10% of their daily earnings, maximizing your own profit. Download Honeygain today by clicking the link in the description below.
This is an urban legend that allegedly took place around the early 2000s, back before social media sites like Instagram or Snapchat were even a thing. The source for this story was shared through the victim's roommate, who claimed that the following events were in fact true, and that they occurred within the residence he and the victim had lived at. There's been a lot of speculation whether the events of the story were fabricated or not due to the supernatural aspects of the proposed speculation. But from the testimonials of the victim's roommate, it makes it rather difficult to argue the legitimacy of it. It allegedly all began when a young man in his mid-20s had moved in with one of his colleagues from school to an old rundown apartment complex. We'll give the young man the alias George and his roommate Simon for better context. George was a young man who just recently moved out of his parents' house and into an apartment complex just 5 minutes away from the college he had enrolled in. It was alleged that George was a hardworking student, as he did school full-time in the mornings and worked full-time during the evenings. That meant that a lot of his life revolved around studying on the job while trying to make a living for himself and maintain the childhood dream of being an independent man he so desperately desired. George's life was unfortunately reduced to constantly working and schooling for a solid year or two, which carried a lot of weight on his shoulders. The repetitive nature of his lifestyle made him develop a lot of hatred towards the world, as the monotonous everyday routine made him have an edge that most of his colleagues didn't see prior to meeting him. His roommate Simon even described George's demeanor as bizarre and weird the longer he lived with him. Here's when the story takes a bizarre turn. Simon claims that the cause of George's odd behavior wasn't from school or work. He claims that it came from a cursed VHS tape that was played by George when Simon was out with his group of friends one night. The VHS tape was allegedly discovered by Simon when he came out of a local Blockbuster after renting a movie to take home. Simon then saw a tape sitting on the sidewalk in front of the store. What movie is this? The tape had no movie label on it, just a white strip on the edge with the words, "Play Me." Simon took the tape home as he figured it could be useful for recording a movie on his television. He then heads home and begins watching the movie he had initially rented.
Hey dude, I'm gonna head to bed, so I'll see you at class tomorrow.
Have a good night, dude. After I finish this movie off, I'm gonna check this thing out.
Check what out?
This VHS. I found it on the street and it says "Play Me."
Weird. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, dude. Have to wake up early for class.
Alright, later, dude. Simon then takes out the movie from the VHS player and pops in the "Play Me" tape, as his curiosity started distracting him throughout the film. The tape then begins to play. What ends up appearing on the TV was something Simon described as extremely bizarre and unsettling. It was a video of a man sitting on a boat in the middle of an ocean. He sat there quietly in one spot while the fluorescent light from the moon shined upon his silhouette. According to Simon, the film looked like some sort of strange stock footage that a low-budget creator had whipped up. What the hell is this crap? Who the hell wants to watch someone sitting on a boat for hours?
What did you say?
What the hell was that? Simon then got up from the couch and confusingly stared at the television, trying to comprehend if the words came from his head or the TV. Was that you who was just talking to me?
Yes. Perhaps you would like to see my face.
Okay. That's when the man on the boat begins to aggressively paddle towards the TV as Simon begins to slowly backpedal in fear.
What the hell?
The man in the boat then makes his way up close towards the screen, only to show a face that looked exactly like Simon, as if his doppelganger was on the other side of the screen.
I need your help, Simon.
No! No! Leave me alone!
George then approaches the living room and says,
Dude, what the hell happened?
My bad, dude. I must have accidentally fried it.
Jesus Christ, that's the last time you're ever watching a scary movie.
Several days after that incident, Simon replaces the TV in the living room and ends up heading out to hang with some friends, leaving George in the apartment complex alone. George used most of his free time studying and working on school assignments, as he usually had the nights off on weekends. After about an hour or two of consistent rummaging of notes, George decided to finally take a break and watch a movie from his VHS collection. George then turns off his lights and attempts to insert his movie in the VHS player, only to notice it already being occupied with the Play Me tape. That's when George decided to press play using the remote, only to see the same video that Simon had seen before. Just a male silhouette casually sitting on a boat in the middle of an ocean. George sat there in silence as if he anticipated any further dialogue waiting to transpire within the next few seconds or so. As he looked further into the television, he could vaguely make out that the figure of the man was a figure similar to himself. That's when the man in the boat said,
Help me, George.
What the hell? Is that you talking to me?
Yes. I need you to fill up your bathtub with water. Can you do that?
Why would I do such a thing?
Please. I need your help, George. I need you to fill up your bathtub and do it in the dark. It's the only way this is going to work.
Okay.
That's when George heads to the washroom using the light from his BlackBerry cell phone and begins to fill the bathtub up with water. He then heads back to the living room and says to the boatman,
Okay, boatman. I just filled the bathtub. Now what?
Great job, George. Now, throw something in the tub.
Like what?
Anything that can float.
That's when George grabs a rubber duck from his washroom cabinet and tosses it into the bathtub. He then approaches the living room once more and says,
Okay, I did it. Now what?
George's jaw dropped as he saw the rubber duck floating next to the man on the boat. George then checked the bathtub using the light from his phone, only to see no trace of the rubber duck. He then heads back and repeatedly curses at the screen, saying,
What the hell is going on? Who the hell are you? How the hell did you do that?
George, now, fully submerge yourself inside the bathtub.
And why the hell would I do that?
For eternal happiness, silly.
Now do it, George! What? Get in the bathtub now!
George then frantically tries turning the TV off by repeatedly pressing the power button on the remote, but the TV remained on. He even went as far as ripping off the power cord from the wall outlet, but the TV still remained on.
You want me to drown, huh? Is that what you want, you sick bastard?
That's when George runs into the washroom and jumps straight into the bathtub.
What the hell? Where the hell am I? Somebody help me! Help!
And that's the story of the great urban legend of George. Some say the man he is today is the man that was once trapped in the video, as his former school colleagues claim that he had suddenly become timid and quiet. George's roommate Simon even testified to George's sudden change, mentioning how he has behaved different since and how he thinks the tape had something to do with it. In conjunction with the other testimonies from George's colleagues, Simon's final statement about George read, "I wish George good health and prosperity. I must vouch that the man George is today is definitely not the person I once knew before."
They say that burning in a heaping ball of fire is deadlier than drowning in a pool of water, but I digress, as the thought of a huge body of water always triggers my paranoia whenever I'm out in public. Ambient sounds from the ocean or raindrops falling from the sky leave the pulse on my temple throbbing in a meticulous manner. I even find it difficult maintaining my everyday hygiene practices. The simple use of water from the sink or the spouting drops from my shower head always left me curled up in a corner, like an adolescent child attempting to jump off a diving board into a public pool. The development of fear grew stronger over the years, which kept me isolated and timid towards others, as I am still left traumatized till this very day. I want to share my story with the world, and can hopefully be cleansed from this malignant mental anguish I've been suffering from for almost my entire adulthood. Who knows? Maybe spreading this story will inevitably manifest the closure I so desperately desire. It all started in Tokyo, Japan, when I was flying from my hometown, Alberta, Canada, to enjoy some nice summer weather that the eastern side of the world had to offer. I personally didn't have a lot of friends growing up, so I would go on these solo trips alone. At the time, I was running an online merchandising company, so I was quite flexible when it came to traveling abroad, or spontaneously taking vacations whenever July or August came around the corner. I remember staying at a hotel and visiting an array of tourist sites throughout my stay there. I even incorporated my daily routine of going to a local gym, about a minute away from my hotel. I usually worked out for an hour a day, and then went to this bathhouse located next door from the gym. The Japanese bathhouse, otherwise known as Sento, was opened up to the public for communal use from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. It would usually cost around 1,000 yen, which was equivalent to $9 USD, or $11 CAD, if you're Canadian like me. I would always be greeted by this attractive lady at the front desk named Myuu. She was quite nice, but at the same time a little timid, as I knew she had a history of being bullied as a child from the last conversation I had with her. I remember Myuu saying,
Come to the bathhouse more. I'm lonely.
As she sips on a cup of coffee, leaving a drink mustache on her upper lip. I promise I'll come over more if you shave that mustache off. That's when a tear ran down the side of Myuu's face, as if she was triggered by my words. Hey, I'm sorry. I was just talking about the drink residue on your face, not you.
It's okay, Ned. When I was a kid, people at school used to bully me about facial hair growing on my face.
Myuu, please forgive me. I was only kidding. I then saw a Polaroid camera sitting on the front desk and decided to take a selfie of the both of us in hopes that I could cheer Myuu up.
Here's your towel, Ned. Please enjoy the shower.
I didn't want to accidentally further upset her, so I proceeded to make my way inside the bathhouse. Showering next to a bunch of greasy men standing right beside me wasn't exactly the most ideal service I wanted to explore being in Japan, but I figured I'd try it out, considering I wasn't going to be here for long. The bathhouse had a wall that didn't go all the way up to the ceiling that divided the men and women sections apart, so you could technically hear or communicate with the females. Each section consisted of several shower heads, with hot tubs readily available behind them. I remember spending the majority of my trip sightseeing and eating out, so working out and showering at the bathhouse was a rare occurrence. One night, I was in my hotel room watching some television with the lights turned off. My bed was up against the wall, which was also facing the direction of the door and television. I would spend the next few hours watching sitcoms and movies that the hotel offered within their cable network. The time was approximately 1 a.m. when I heard a loud knock coming from outside my door. I found it quite strange that someone would knock this late at night, considering most of the hotel staff wouldn't approach their guests unless they had requested for room service. Who the hell could be knocking at my door at 1 o'clock in the morning? I shouted, "Who is it?" There was no answer, just the audible sound from the movie playing on my television. I then saw a photograph slip into my room from under the door. I got out of my bed and slowly approached the door while placing one of my eyes close to the peephole. I could then make out that it was Myuu from the bathhouse, surprisingly waiting outside my room. Confusion was all I felt, as I didn't know how the hell she could find where I was staying at. I then opened the door, only to see no sign of Myuu. I remember looking at both sides of the hallway, just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating or seeing things. That's when I went back inside my room and picked up the photo that was slipped underneath my door. There lied a photograph of Myuu and myself that was previously taken the last time I was at the bathhouse. A handwritten message on the bottom right corner of the photograph read, "Come to the bathhouse more. I'm lonely," with a smiley face right next to it. I figured I'd shoot my shot, considering I didn't have much time left on my vacation. I began changing into some outdoor clothes, packed my bag, and eventually made my way outside. Again, the bathhouse was located about a minute away from the hotel, so getting there wasn't much of a hassle. I felt a little uncomfortable meeting up with Myuu this late at night, but I carried on as I didn't mind some late-night action on my last days here. As I made my way through the entrance of the bathhouse, I could see Myuu standing behind the front counter with a sadistic smile on her face. I was a little taken back and borderline about to split when she started waving me over by saying,
Ned, come here.
I approached the front counter and said, "Hey, Myuu, you slipped this photograph in my hotel room, right?" Myuu nodded her head yes, and then I asked her, "Okay, how did you know where I was staying at?" She just stared at me with a gaunt, expressionless look, as if she had seen a ghost or something. "I bet you were following me around town, weren't you?" Myuu then grabbed a towel and handed it over to me. She then said,
Take a shower, I'll meet you on the other side.
Okay. I then went into the bathhouse, changed out of my clothes, and proceeded to take a shower, as I heard someone enter through the other side of the wall. I didn't know if it was Myuu, as the wall separated our respective sides, so I began to shout. "Hey, Myuu, is that you?"
Yep, it's me.
I could then hear her turn on the shower. I didn't know exactly what her sole purpose was of having me come all the way here, so I said, "Hey, Myuu,
Yes?
why did you want me to come here?"
I want to spend time with you, silly. Now can you pass me some soap?
I don't know if I have any.
Look behind you on the floor. There should be a bar of soap.
How did she know that? I then grabbed the bar of soap and shouted, "Here," as I tossed it over the wall. About 10 seconds later, Myuu makes another strange request, saying,
Ned, can you now toss over the razor? I want to shave my mustache.
"Huh? Myuu, you don't have a
Give me the razor! Give me the razor! Give me the razor!
I began to feel claustrophobic, as the room felt like it was getting smaller and the air was gradually getting thinner. That's when I saw a razor conveniently sitting on the floor right next to me. I picked it up and unconsciously tossed it over as I said, "Here! Can you please calm down now?" I could hear Myuu psychotically laughing while shaving her face in a vigorous fashion. "Hey, Myuu, what the hell are you doing?" I then noticed the water from my shower head slowly start to become more dense, and the color gradually turning red, as if I was being showered in blood. What the hell is going on? Myuu, if this is some kind of sick prank, stop. That's when another staff member opened the door to my side of the bathhouse and said,
How the hell did you get in here? The bathhouse is closed.
"But Myuu invited me over here and she's on the other side." "What in the hell are you talking about, kid? That's impossible." The staff member then opened the door to the female side of the bathhouse, only to show no sign of Myuu. I then realized that the blood I showered with was a fixation of my imagination, as there was no sign of it on myself from my side of the bathhouse. What makes this story disturbing is how the staff member disclosed how Myuu passed away 2 weeks prior to this initial incident. It was alleged that one of the bathhouse attendees were preparing to open up when they noticed one of the hot tubs completely clouded in blood. Myuu's body was found fully submerged in that hot tub, with her face completely lacerated, as if it had been shredded up through a meat grinder. What they also claimed to have found was a razor floating in that very same tub. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Seeing and hearing Myuu in the flesh made me question my own sanity. Am I really going crazy? I could have sworn I saw her at the front desk. I remember hearing her ask for soap and a razor. I began to eventually make my way back to the hotel, contemplating whether I should book an early flight home or if I should ride out the remainder of my trip. As I approached the outside of my room and opened the door with my keycard, I can see the same photograph that was slipped into my room earlier, except the face of Myuu's was cut off.
I'm not sure how well known this one is, but it's one that's always tickled my fancy. The bath game, sometimes known as Daruma-san, is a game that dates back a long way. The game itself carries with it huge risk, but also the potential for huge reward. According to legend, by conducting a simple ritual, you can summon an entity known as Daruma-san, who will play a game of cat and mouse with you. The reward for winning is that you'll be blessed with amazing fortune. This one's not for the light-hearted amongst you though, as a lot of bad things can happen to you if you decide to play the game, including death. Here are the rules. To play, you'll need a bathroom with a bathtub. Only one person can play this game at a time, but don't worry, you won't really be playing alone. Step 1. Wait until nighttime, just before bed. Step 2. Fill up your bath with water and turn off all the lights. Step 3. Take off your clothes and get into the bath. Make sure your body is facing the faucet. Step 4. Close your eyes and begin to wash your hair. Step 5. As you wash your hair, repeat the phrase, Daruma-san fell down. Daruma-san fell down. Make sure to keep repeating this the whole time you wash. Under no circumstances should you open your eyes. Step 6. If everything's gone according to plan, your head will be filled with the mental image of a woman standing in the bathtub. In this mental image, she'll slip and fall face first onto the tap, gouging out her right eye. She'll die in the process. Step 7. If, after this mental image, you feel a presence in the water behind you, do not turn around or open your eyes. Instead, ask aloud, why did you fall? Step 8. There'll be no answer to your question. Just let it linger in the air for a moment. Then, with your eyes still firmly shut, step out of the bath and dry yourself off. And this can be dangerous, so be careful not to slip as you get out. Step 9. You can now open your eyes. Head to your bedroom. It's time for bed. Do not turn on the bathroom lights. Do not drain the bath water until morning. Do not re-enter the bathroom after you leave, and make sure to close the door behind you. Step 10. Go to sleep. The ritual is now complete. As soon as you wake up in the morning, the game will begin. The ghostly figure of Daruma-san will follow you all day. You can tell who she is by her stained white clothes, her long black hair, and the fact that she's missing her right eye. Her left one is open and bloodshot. Throughout the day, you'll occasionally feel her presence creeping up behind you. When you do, quickly look over your right shoulder. When you turn to look, you probably won't see her. As the day goes on though, she'll get closer and closer. Do not let her touch you. If you sense that she's getting too close, shout, "Tomare!" meaning stop. Shout this while swinging your arm in a chopping motion. Then, run. You've just stalled her and bought yourself some time. Put as much distance between you and her as possible. Use this tomore command sparingly though. It'll become less effective with every use, so only say it when you really feel the need to. The game will only end when you manage to catch a glimpse of Daruma over your right shoulder. When you finally do see her, immediately shout, "Kita," meaning I cut you loose. Say this while swinging your arm like before. If you manage to do that before midnight, congratulations, you've won the bath game, and good fortune should be yours, for a time at least. Should you fail to spot her by midnight and cut her loose though, then I'm afraid you've lost the bath game. Daruma will never stop following you. You can run as much as you like, but she'll always be close behind, and eventually you'll need to sleep, giving her the opportunity to catch you, either in person or in your dreams. When she catches you, well, that's the end. Don't try to play this game more than once. On the second playthrough, she'll start at the same distance you caught sight of her last time, and you won't have enough time in the morning to get away.
They say that a little spark of fire is enough to burn the world. Nothing could be more relevant in my life right now. The story I'm going to tell you can be highly disturbing to some, hence, viewer discretion is advised. I'm studying literature in Wisconsin. I believed I had an amazing group of friends, until this happened. Last week we went hiking in the woods. There were 5 of us, including myself, Joe, Sally, Chris, and Peter. It was supposed to be a boys' night out, but I had a crush on Sally, so I invited her too. I wanted to spend some time with her. We started the hike in the afternoon and planned to camp near a waterfall in the woods. The landscape was so enchanting that every time I would reach the top of the next hill and be confronted with the sight of a new vista, the beauty of it would literally take my breath away. Woods have sounds of their own. Sally and I were clicking pictures just when we heard a scream.
Oh my god, what's going on? There's a snake in my clothes! Get it off! Get it off! Get it off me!
What a dingo! It's so easy to scare you, man.
Mark, why didn't you tell me we brought an extra chicken for the campfire tonight?
Come on, let's get going. Though everyone laughed at Sally's joke, I found it a bit demeaning. I was the one who asked Peter to tag along. He's shy, but he too wants to make friends and hang out with them. I could tell from his face, Sally's joke hurt his ego. Hey man, don't take Sally's words too personally. She didn't mean it that way. Come on, let's go. Even though Peter didn't say anything, I knew underneath he did take it personally. We were walking among this dense wood with tall trees surrounding us. We decided to stick to the hiking trails, but after walking for a mile, we realized we were lost.
Shouldn't we have reached the waterfall by now?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Joe, can you check the GPS?
There's no network on my phone. You check it. Within a minute, we all discovered that none of us had service on our phones, and the sun was about to set.
It was getting dark pretty fast. I realized if we didn't find a spot to camp soon, we'll be in big trouble. It'll be impossible to make our way in these woods after the night falls. After walking for 20 more minutes, we finally camped in a favorable place. Everyone started to put up their tents, and I got busy making the fire. Peter came and helped me in doing so. He was assembling the branches and twigs, and I was just about to light it when we heard footsteps around us. My eyes went to the bush nearby, and I saw that it was moving. Mark? Is it only me who thinks those bushes are moving on their own? No, I can see it too. I got up and started to walk towards them to check. Peter followed me with a flashlight.
Ah! It's fine, it's fine. Guys, check this out. Whoa, what is that?
Probably an abandoned well. But who built the well right in front of a forest?
Don't you know the story of Sadako?
What? Who?
It's a Japanese urban legend. Sadako appears as a young woman whose face is hidden under her long, black hair. And she wears a white dress that has water stains on it. She was born from an affair and possessed psychic abilities. She could wish for people's death, and they would die right at that moment. People in society started to condemn her, saying she was cursed. Out of fear, her own father pushed her into a well like this, and left her to die in that darkness. But later, she came back from that well and killed her father. Japanese people narrate her story as the tale of broken trust and vengeance. What do you think? Should we call out to her? Maybe she'd like to be your girlfriend, Peter.
Stop it, Sally. He's already spooked enough. Leave the poor kid alone. Hey, I'm not a kid, okay? Guys, come on. We should be having a good time. Let's start the bonfire. We all came back to the campsite. Joe started roasting marinated chicken, and Chris played some music. Sally and I grabbed beers and sat in the corner. I noticed Peter sitting near the fire and drinking a beer as well. Finally, we were all having fun as a group.
After a night of heavy drinking, we all decided to go to sleep.
Peter and I went to take a leak. We were all pretty drunk. None of us realized we were standing close to the well while peeing. I was finished, so I turned around to get back when I heard Peter saying,
Mark! Mark! What is that?
At that point, I was damn tired, and I just wanted to get some sleep.
What now?
As I followed his eyes, I saw a figure emerging behind the abandoned well. It was a woman with long black hair covering her entire face, just like that urban legend, Sadako, that Sally mentioned. The woman was breathing in a very weird manner. Suddenly, she sprinted behind the well and jumped on Peter. Peter fell on the ground, screaming, and I was about to scream too, just when Joe and Chris came out of the darkness, laughing their hearts out. The woman then flipped her hair back, and I saw it was Sally.
Really, Peter, you're such an easy scare.
But before I could react on this matter, Peter got up from the ground and ran into those woods unexpectedly.
Peter, where are you going? Hey, this was just a joke. Come back.
Where did he go? What the hell is wrong with you, Sally? Enough is enough. You guys just crossed the limit this time. Grow up. I went to my tent and grabbed a flashlight. We all started looking for Peter.
Peter? Peter!
Peter, where are you?
This won't do, guys. We need to split up in order to find him. Chris, you go to that side. Sally, you go back and wait there. In case he comes back, let us know by blowing my camping whistle. Mark, you go to the right. I'll check this way. Everyone be close and don't get lost.
Peter? Pete! Come out, man! Peter! Where are you? Peter? Peter! Damn it, Peter, where the hell are you? Peter, come out, man! It was just a joke! It's really not safe wandering in these woods at this time of night. There could actually be a snake, you know? Peter! You better come out or... Peter! Come out, man, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing on their behalf. Please, it's too dangerous out here.
I searched for Peter for half an hour more, and finally gave up. I headed back to the campsite. I was coming back with lots of disappointment and tension in my mind when I saw Peter sitting near the campfire, facing his back at me. I could hear him munching on something, quite vigorously.
Peter, where were you all this time? We were all looking for you like crazy. Peter, aren't you getting what I'm saying?
What happened after that can never be deleted from my memory. Peter was sitting in front of the bonfire and eating. His mouth was covered in blood. His eyes were extremely wide as he chomped Sally's head, holding on his hand. Yes, he was eating Sally's head, while her headless body lay beside him on the ground. Not just that, there were 2 other bodies as well, Joe and Chris.
Look, Mark, we have 3 big, juicy chickens for dinner.
What have we done?